Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Blue Dragon 5 here.
And Pergron.
And you guessed it, tonight we're talking...
I like it. Short and simple.
Yep, that's right. So Pergron, we're having you on rotation for our penultimate episode. How you feel? You get the penultimate episode.
Yeah,
Aren't you special? Look at you.
Always one of the best ones. So I'm happy to be invited on for this one.
So, welcome to the party a little late. How you feeling about the show so far? What do you think about season 3?
Yeah, I mean, I've been hooked since season 1, but season 2, that big gap just kind of took the wind out of my sails. So season 3 has been a huge rebound for me. I've quite enjoyed pretty much the entire thing.
Cool. What you think about this week?
This week was a highlight. I have kind of been reading the comics as the show goes. I don't want to spoil it for myself.
Mm-hmm.
But I got a little bit ahead before this one, and I thought they did Invincible War a lot of justice. I thought I was worried it was going to be like 6 episodes of a show, and it was going to split in between next season, and that's how we were going to end this one. But no, I thought it was nice. It was just like our opening tonight. Nice, quick, easy, effective. Didn't overstay its welcome. I thought it was a really well done episode.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I've mentioned this ad nauseum. I don't know if we had you on. Did we have you on for season 2?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so. That's why I was asking. I don't believe. I think. Yeah. Anyway. So in general, with Invincible, I kind of run this into the ground, but I kind of approached it in. So I saw the first season, and then after that, I basically read through the entire series. I was kind of holding the books for a friend before I kind of bought them for him. I asked, "Hey, you mind if I read these while I'm holding for you?" And I binged the whole series. Like I had, for a brief time, I had all 3 giant compendiums before I gave them to him. And I read through the whole thing, and I promised myself, kind of like with the Deadpool script, years ago, I read through it once so I could go into it surprised, so I could forget just enough about it, but when it happens, or maybe have a general idea of things, and then, plus Kirkman readapting his own work, and, kind of like fine-tuning certain things, and kind of like, altering others, it would still be a fresh experience. And I tell you, man, it is a way to go about it, because, there's kind of like there was a little bit of nostalgia, a little bit like, oh, yeah, I remember that. But it just like hits you just right when you need it to, Because I have just an idea of what's going on, but not the specifics.
That sounds like a good way to do it.
Yeah, so it's kind of obviously we're kind of coming at it from perspectives. You're like coming like right, fresh off of it. I'm just kind of going off of this. I've glimpsed the map.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so in respect to that, this season's very much been following the arcs of the book. So we've been very much, we're chugging along in terms of story. Like season 1, it sounds like we kind of jumped a little, we kind of blended some chapters out of sequence for the better, in my opinion. And this, we've been hitting our arcs. So when we get to the big ending later on, it was like, oh my god, like I was hoping amongst hopes that. Going into the last 2 episodes, the question was, are we going to drag out this episode and the 2 episodes and then do our ending as like the season cliffhanger, or are we going to do what I've been hoping they were going to do the whole season, which is when we get to the end of this arc, we will then do the big ending. And Pergron, we're going to do the big ending, but we'll get there. Let's just say that's a big, that's kind of the grand midpoint of the Invincible story. It's like, oh god, it's the Luke versus Vader of it all, man. It's big. Mm-hmm. Well, technically the end of season 1 was Luke versus Vader, but you know what I mean. Anyway, so I guess to start breaking this one down, so it's the so Angstrom Levy, Angstrom Levy. See, I keep questioning Jacob's. Yep, yeah. Jacob has the correct pronunciation on the Angstrom Levy thing, but I keep forgetting which one it is because I keep going with like I think it's Levy. Oh, so it is Levy. Okay, so is that how you're reading that paragraph? Levy?
Yeah, it's Levy. Yeah.
Okay, good.
The incomparable Sterling K. Brown.
Yes, who was of course he was a big standout of season 2, and here we really pay him. Well, let me put it this way: in the grand scheme, because I remembered Angstrom came back. I didn't know he came. I forgot that he came back this soon. Honestly, that was kind of a fun thing re-exploring it. But it did bring back to memory that Angstrom Levy, he basically has. I want to say he has like a 3-act structure. Where season 2 we did kind of act 1 of his story. This is act 2, and act 3 is when we kind of teed up at the end of this, where we'll probably see him at least one more time.
Mm-hmm.
So this is great. So apparently he of course he was the huge linchpin season 2 in that we ended with the whole "I thought you were stronger" thing, where Invincible accidentally killed someone for the first time,
Right.
and I felt terrible about it. And we saw the ramifications of that this season. So apparently, weight has kind of been lifted. Angstrom, he had a contingency if Invincible beat him and/or potentially killed him, and basically he had his cybernetic technicians from a different reality fix him up. And how eerie was it to see his head completely bashed in, yet somehow still alive?
Yeah, man was mush.
Yeah, and here's the thing: a lot of people had the grievance. A lot of the diehard comic fans, they had a grievance. Like they didn't understand how animation works in terms of, guys, look, we learned from Clayface from Batman the Animated Series. You can only make a design so complex to the point where it'll animate, and Clayface is like a miracle exception because the guy looks like mush anyway. So even if the design's a little off in the animation, at least you can kind of cover your bases. The fact is, if you add too many lines or too many details to a drawing, it won't animate well at all. And some people say he should look a lot more gnarly and screwed up, but it's like a little baby scar. It's like, okay, guys, I think it looks pretty good, and it's the fact that I think to pacify everyone, when we saw him, truly on death's door, practically, that was pretty haunting and memorable. I think that's the balance. I think they struck a really good balance on that.
Yeah, I thought that was a man that shouldn't be alive.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, let's see. Okay, anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, point being Angstrom. So these creepy technicians, they fixed him up real good for his revenge plot. And I gotta say, I love Angstrom's revenge plot because it is twisted in all the right ways. It is basically he has bribed the Invincibles of the multiverse to do his bidding, and it's such a twisted logic that because his minds, all of his multiversal minds melded together, he he's deluded himself and completely forgotten whoever the core Angstrom is, and forgotten completely that, hey, the one Invincible that didn't ruin your life is the one you have the vendetta against.
Right.
So literally all the other Invincibles that have ruined his life in a variety of ways, he is somehow swayed to his side. They don't give a crap about who he is, so they're perfectly fine with this arrangement. So he's bribed these Invincibles, to basically help him get revenge on the only Invincible that actually tried to save him and tried to show mercy. Which leads to Invincible War. That's right, folks. We're literally taking everything from Cap 3 this season. Not in a bad way. It's a great movie if we're going to pull from, or at least somewhat parallel it. So, literally doing the Invincible War. That's right.
Yeah, and a scary, scary time to be a person on Earth.
Yeah, so I'll tell you what I love about the Invincible War. I love that in the grand scheme of our story, and we kind of teed this up with the Nolan thing, which, by the way, I still really like how we did. And I suspect the post-credit scene of this season, we'll check back in with them one more time. See, essentially, could work into the main plot, but I forget if they might show up during what's going to happen next episode, or if maybe we'll just touch base with them at the end. Basically, an issue I had reading the comic, again, mind you, binging the comics, I don't want to say, avidly reading the comic, was the Nolan and Allen stuff. We kind of cut away from the main action to see what's going on with those guys, and that's just more like a pacing of the mediums kind of a thing. Where in comic pages we have to devote like a whole issue versus like being able to cut back as much as we kind of usually do.
Mm.
So it felt a little like dragged out when I'm really focused because I love Mark Grayson as a character. I like really tracking his story. So It's not to say again the Alan stuff was bad or anything. It's just like it disrupted the flow, and the way in which we did it in the show, I felt was a lot better, and feels like maybe potentially as well a 3-act structure in terms of we did it. We checked in with them, and then we broke them out of prison, and then we're probably going to reunite the bunch. So
Yeah.
there's something. We're going to check in with them one more time. And that'd be kind of a nice way of interweaving that into our main story. Anyway, in that last time we saw those guys, we set up the really cool reveal that Viltrum, because of their stupid kind of like Kryptonian / kind of Saiyan hybrid kind of mentality of like, hey, to make ourselves the most superior battle ready race, we're going to basically kill ourselves until we only have the peak Viltrumites, which basically dwindles us to under 50 people. Now even less than under 50 because we've lost at least 4 of them, either just kind of like renouncing their violent ways or being killed. So we're probably down to less than 45 at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, were the two that were killed by Alan and Nolan, were they pure blood? Do we know?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. The presumption is if they're wearing the white, they're pure blood.
Okay, so they were 50. So now there's at least 48.
Well, I'm saying no. They said under 50, even when they had everyone. So the question is, in season 2, when we had the fight, with Nolan and Mark teaming up, was that 50 then reduced, or is it like just still like under 50, and then now it's dwindled to less? I mean, I love it's a weird comparison. Tiki laughed at this once. I love the. It's kind of like it's like Gen 1 of Pokemon. I can actually keep track of like the potential interactions of like there's only 150 of them.
Right.
Remember when Pokemon was simple?
Back in
So
the day.
like it's almost like that, or like the cousins from Lilo and Stitch. It's like you can actually keep track of like, okay, there's this set number of them, and just the fact that we're kind of dwindling down.
Yeah, and then they just throw Togepi into the anime, and you're like, "What the fuck is this?"
Well, it's like one Togepi doesn't hurt things, but when we like, there's another region.
Right. There's nine of them now.
I thought it was just one league. What? It's never ending anyway.
He's still 10? What the fuck are you talking about?
It's been 30 years. Anyway,
but yeah, so yeah, we know there's not that many, and now, yeah, so that'll be interesting to see where that goes.
So this is I guess what I'm getting at, Pergron, is this is a nice warm up and a foreshadow of what we're dealing. This is just 18 Invincibles. We have 18 Invincibles in this episode that basically could conquer the planet, and they're half-blooded Viltrumites.
Mm-hmm.
Admittedly, I suspect one of them is actually a full-blooded Viltrumite, but let's not linger on that right now. Point being, yeah, that's the thing. We have at least 18 Viltrumites in essence, versus like the 40 plus. So this is just a great set to how woefully outmatched the Earth is. Thankfully Mark was on their side.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, and all of this I love that all of this is over the course of 3 days. By the way, I don't know. It sounds like they may or may not have trimmed it down from the comic because it was an event. So I don't know how many issues it went on for, but and we did cut away a little bit like we do here. So I can't say for certain.
Mm-hmm.
So this was a big crossover moment for Image, and we did bring in a lot more Image comic heroes in the comic, but unfortunately we don't have the rights. We seemingly don't have the rights to Spawn because of the renegotiation with Todd McFarlane. And I was sad. I assumed he was in the comic, but I really wanted to see Savage Dragon. Man, Savage Dragon's cool.
Mm.
You know anything about Savage Dragon?
I've seen him. Seen a picture. Other than that, no, I don't. I barely know a lot about Spawn. I would have recognized Spawn if he showed up, but
you'd be able to pick him up out of a lineup.
Yeah, I'd be able to pick him out.
I'm gonna go with the satanic one.
Yeah, if he killed my best friend, and we were in a police lineup, I'd be like, yeah, that's the guy.
Well, it wasn't your best friend, but
a friend.
He was in the. He was a deeply missed acquaintance.
Yeah,
Here's the thing: if they actually gave Spawn a speaking role, they would have gotten Keith David. Anyway,
would have gotten another Community cast member in the cast too.
Well, I mean, it's possible.
Because I like that we're getting all the Walking Dead guys, but but Gillian Jacobs remains my only community representation. So,
Well, they're in the MCU though.
yeah, that's true. But they
You know,
show up all the time, and like all of them show up in the same stuff. They've all been on The Masked Singer, so
yep.
I don't know why they
Well,
can't.
well, everyone but Chevy, but yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, he doesn't. Chevy
Yeah.
Chase would be an interesting voice to show up in Invincible.
Anyway, so big crossover moment. Basically, Mark's and Rex too. Yeah. So Mark's fears of season 3 are essentially realized with the Invincible War here. You know, he's kind of worried about, you know, that he's perceived like his father. This was very much kind of a fear of season 2 as well that we were building. And, you know, he's seeing firsthand why Cecil was worried. And again, basically, had the breakup not been as messy, I loved through the course of this. By the end of, but really by this episode, probably as well by the end of the season, you know, Cecil and Mark, I've been fascinated by, you know, the rift and just kind of how that story was handled. I think they really adapted it well because very easily. I'm not saying the comic did this, but I'm saying just like Civil War, the comic.
Mhm.
You know, it could have been very one side, and I'm very glad they represented like the nuances there. Where you know, with that flashback with Cecil, we really showed that Cecil does have a point, and he did think a lot like Mark. And I still attest that both of them are right, but they're both also a little wrong about something.
Right.
There's some holes in there. There's some holes in their argument. Like Cecil essentially is always kind of like preaching like transparency. I'm not hiding anything from you, but even as we saw, he is watching the Grayson family, even if
Right.
it's like it's like a technicality. But he's still doing it. But that's the thing. Like Cecil, it's kind of like the Batman Superman kryptonite thing, where many times Superman knows that Batman has kryptonite and he okays it because he's smart enough to know, okay, well, if I go rogue, you're definitely going to want something to bring me down, and I want people I know and trust to be able to do that. Cecil never had that conversation with Mark, and after everything Mark went through with his dad, knowing the Viltrumites are on their way, I think Mark would have been receptive to that. He might have been a little insulted at first, but I think if Cecil calmly talked to him about it, I don't
Right.
know. But Mark is also kind of has some stubbornness like a Viltrumite in him, and that has been his character flaw. He's a little stubborn, and as Tiki pointed out episodes back, he's on a prison kick. He's touting off that prison left and right. It's like Indiana Jones when it belongs in the museum. They belong in prison.
Right. He's very pro cop this season.
He's very well, that's the thing. He's very there's a hypocrisy in Mark in that deep down he wants his father to be redeemed, but he doesn't want to admit that to himself. And but at the same token, he believes that no one can be reformed, which is, and I think we see it even in here. Darkwing too. The sidekick. Darkwing I think he actually did believe in redemption. I think he actually did. He made ultimately it boils down. I'm sorry, now I'm going back to previous episodes, but we kind of pay it off here, so I think it's kind of important to know.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I think not the mistake in the writing, but just the mistake between Mark and Cecil is that they had two cases of reform. One Mark was absolutely right about in kind of rejecting, and that D.A. Sinclair should not have been given basically the Operation Paperclip treatment,
Right.
with the Nazis. He shouldn't have been like, we're gonna set you up, we're gonna give you a lab, we're gonna forgive and forget all the past crimes, we'll clean up your messes, just keep making those Reanimen. That was wrong of Cecil. Okay, that was wrong of Cecil. Just should have taken like the notes and the research and gave it to another guy. But the fact that D.A. Sinclair specifically, that was wrong of him. But it's wrong of Mark to shut down because Darkwing 2 did have he did have a psychotic break from being overwhelmed in a city without his mentor, and it's crime 24/7, and that guy again, he actually did possibly seek psychiatric help and everything. He seemed to be making an honest effort at the 10. Plus, his father killed the original guy, so I think Mark should have given him just a little bit of leeway.
Right.
So in that respect, I think that's where they both kind of botch things up there in their relationship. Anyway, so let's see. Okay, point. Yeah,
both of them are sitting there with the best redemption of the show, just like ignoring Rex. Who fully redeems himself.
Oh, absolutely. God, yes. Rex has had a heck of an arc of this show, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Let's see. Did anyone else watch the beginning of the episode with Rex helping Ray move and think he's totally gonna
I've been saying
die?
that as soon as he and Ray made eyes at each other.
So this was a thing where, again, this is kind of the advent of binging at once. Okay, where I completely forgot that. Here's the thing. I imagine, like, in the sense of all comic characters kind of die. I figured at some point Rex would die. I didn't think it was going to be like, oh my god, it's not just like a little like a like a death and we rewind time or something, or like it's a potential. You know, like, 'cause again, we saw we killed Duplicate and we brought her back. The Immortal,
Right.
we killed him and brought him back. I thought it was maybe one of those things, but just from passing, I didn't even think it was like going to be this soon. But yeah, I was like, it's kind of a could have had a V8 mode. Oh yeah, of course he's, of course this is the death they were referring to, and this is yeah. So the moment he said that, I figured, yep, he's a goner, and oh boy, it's
Yeah, if you're a superhero, don't say "I'll be right back." Don't ever
yeah,
say it. Those are the words. That's what cements it.
yeah, for sure. But you know, he had a really well-rounded arc. You know, he did become very genuinely heroic.
Yeah, it's what a bullet lobotomy does to a man, I guess.
That's true. Yeah. Yep. But that's the thing too. I mean, here was the other yes, R.I.P. Rexplode. By the way, there was kind of a dark joke in the comic. I think this was in the comic. I saw someone throw up the page, and I don't know if it was like maybe they made like an edit. I think this was from the original comic though. When Invincible learns that Rex died, Robot says Rex exploded. I don't know. I don't know if that's someone just messing around with the comic, doing like an edit. I don't know, but
That feels Kirkman.
I know it does feel Kirkman. So I'd like to think that maybe it feels real.
Even if it's not, it's canon now.
Anyway, but speaking of Robot though, that's the thing. We did have a foreshadow to Rex's death in season 2. Think about it. In the end, when Mark kind of went to kind of that's the thing. It was a question if it was the future, but again, Angstrom can't travel through time; he can just travel dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
We had the alternate universe version of Eve, and it was with in the robot we had we had Rudy, not Rex. So the idea is just Rudy grows up to be Rex Explode because that's his body. But it was the idea that again he was in the robot, he was in like the robot shell, so that suggests that okay, Rex is no longer around. That's Rudy.
Right.
I don't know. I hope I'm not misremembering that. I could be if it's a multiverse thing. Could if that was Rex, like just
No, it
having
wasn't.
the robot.
It was Rudy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know that here. I'm saying in season 2, but yeah.
Oh yeah, in season 2 it was Rudy.
Okay, cool. That is a joke Rex would make. All right. Anyway, so I guess just to build to that just a little bit here. Okay, so all hands are on deck. Every other Image hero and every other like supporting hero from Invincible, with the exception of Spawn and Savage Dragon, they're there. I'm going to shout out a few of them. We had a Wolfman. We had Sorry, I keep wanting to say Beast Tiger because we had Battle Beast. We had Battle Beast a few episodes ago, who I love, by the way. But no, we have Best Tiger. That's his name. He's basically Daredevil with guns in the Image universe.
Yeah, he's Daredevil and Punisher.
Pretty much. And then we had Tech Jacket, who's like the Image version of Iron Man. And importantly, so Jacob and I have been long speculating because we've heard confirmations, but also maybe some teases. We knew Jonathan Banks and Aaron Paul were going to be in this season. So Jonathan Banks specifically. Now, the word on the street, and I think that's throwing people off the scent because long ago it was like Jeffrey Dean Morgan posted a teaser image of him with the Invincible books. And it was implied that maybe he would show up. Mm-hmm. Now, I think it's pretty firmly implied he's going to show up, but to what capacity? And a lot of people were hoping, dear God, please let it be the character I'm thinking of who indeed he does play. But for a while, it looked like, oh my God, could Jonathan Banks be playing Conquest? Could he be playing the big guy?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. Here's the thing. Either way, I gotta be honest. Like I was thinking like, oh man, it's kind of a missed opportunity. That's not Jeffrey Dean Morgan anymore. But still, though, if Jonathan Banks is going to be, if Jonathan Banks has been announced, and they didn't say who his character was per se, but I think everyone kind of forgot about Jeffrey Dean Morgan long enough that was made. They never officially announced who he was playing, but still, it's the idea. I think somewhere someone may have said, or maybe Kirkman throw people off the scent. Somebody Jonathan Banks as Conquester. Jonathan Banks is in this show as a role we haven't revealed yet. It feels like either one of those guys could make a really good Conquest, and I'd be on board for either one of them. Okay, if Banks were, it would be range on Banks. I'm not saying range that he's incapable. It would be range that, oh my god, I'd be falling over in terms of just shock. It's like, oh my god, he's so good. But still, my dream casting was for the Walking Dead nod of it all. It would have been Jeffrey Dean Morgan. So I got my cake and I ate it too, because not only did we did get Jonathan Banks in here, but we gave him a really good character. The character everyone was complaining was missing in the Cecil origin. You have Britt, who is basically this. He's kind of an
like Captain America, right?
Kind of. He's invulnerable. He's kind of like Luke Cage. He's like an old man version of Luke Cage. I don't know if he has super strength. He's basically kind of like a special agent who is indestructible, who's really good at his job. And yes, that's exactly what I'm alluding to. It's going to be the ultimate rematch, which is like the moment I heard Jeffrey Dean Morgan say, "Oh my god, he'd be perfect. He has to play that character."
Yeah.
So I got my cake and I ate it too, and I love that we gave two really great roles for these two really great actors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's unrelated, but I still need Jeffrey Dean Morgan to play Dutch in a Red Dead HBO Max show, but that's besides the point. I just wanted to mention I need that. So if anyone's listening, make it happen, please.
Yeah, unfortunately, we can't go back and put him in Flashpoint.
Nope.
Anyway, so let's see. Okay. Point being, all hands are on deck. We are including Brit. It's a global crisis, so let's break down a few of our Invincibles here and there, because I do actually have the full list, by the way, of all 18 Invincibles. Some of them have cooler names than others. I'm just going to rattle down the list just real quick. Okay. Okay. So we have Sinister Invincible is the one in the black and yellow with the yellow cape, who, by the way, is the one who very traumatizingly killed Angstrom Levy's son in season 2.
Mm-hmm.
So that's him. They call his nickname, I think, is Sinister Invincible. Then we have Omni-Man Invincible. That's the one who obviously is dressed like Omni-Man.
Mm-hmm. Missed opportunity to call him Omni-Mark, but that's okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm saying Invincible. Maybe the shorthand is Mark, so it probably is Omni-Mark. I don't know how official these nicknames are. I mean, there was a list. I forget if, like, from the comic, it's like Mark is the suffix, or if it's probably Mark because it's catchier. But the point being, I guess we have Mark Hawk, but no, it's Mohawk Invincible. We have Emperor Invincible. Emperor Invincible is the one with like the eyes on his shoulder, like the eye symbols on his shoulder, who's always yelling.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes me wonder if the Emperor of Viltrum is going to be yelling a lot. Okay, so it is Omni. Okay, there you go. So I wasn't far off that. Anyway, let's see. So we have the Viltrum prison escapee Invincible. The one looks very kind of. A lot of people say it looks a little Deadpool-esque, and he's scarred up and everything. We have the full mask Invincible, who misses his mom.
Mm-hmm.
We have the no mask Invincible, who misses William.
Mm-hmm.
We have I call him the half Viltrumite Invincible, who has no mustache.
Mm-hmm.
We have the cool hooded Invincible, the one with like this. Seriously, hooded Invincible in the comic was my favorite because he had just I love the design on that mask. He's the one with like the hanging down hood.
Yeah, that one was cool. I like that one.
Looks a lot like Grifter from DC Comics. Let's see. We have full Viltrumite Invincible, the one with the mustache.
Mm-hmm.
We have Sporty Invincible, the one with the cool jacket from the Angstrom montage. Headcap Invincible, the one that Omni Kid, or Kid Omni-Man, kind of goes up against. Flaxen Invincible, basically the one who easily gets killed off. Because again, remember, he's basically Flaxen. He's like part bug.
Right.
Let's see. We have the connecting goggles Invincible, who again lamest name of the bunch because he doesn't really. I call him evil goggles Invincible or connecting goggles Invincible. Regardless, that one, he's the one who he's the one who
He,
killed Rex.
he had the bulletproof goggle, right?
No, that's a different one.
That's a different one.
That's the thing. So connecting the, I know it's a very minor, it's a very minute difference. Like the suit colors are altered, and he has like a little sunglass connector thing on his goggles. That guy. So he's the one who killed Rex. Connecting goggles Invincible. Bulletproof Invincible is basically okay. What if Mark stuck with the one that Art made him?
Right.
Which I still love that joke, by the way. That Bulletproof in the show, basically, he's the one who took the one off the rack. So we have the lamest one in terms of variance. It's just light blue Invincible. The suit's kind of like a light blue color. It's about it. Then we have no goggles. Invincible is the really arrogant, cocky one that kills the Immortal and all the Guardians. Well, pretty much almost kills. And then we have long hair. I call him Samson Invincible, the one with the long hair. Okay, that's all 18. Anyway, so now we just kind of go through. The point being, so Mohawk Invincible, he's very memorable. He's the cocky and really cruel Mark. He's basically everything that Cecil fears. He's well, I guess not necessarily not the one that Cecil fears, but the point being, this is the one Cecil would fear that Mark would turn into. Just if he got really arrogant.
Really right. Arrogant. It's a good thing he's the one that attacked the prison Mark's been working for, and not the one that was like just him but light blue.
Yeah.
Like it's a good thing it was the one that looks so distinctly different.
Yeah. So this guy again, just I love the whole. So it's a really great just kind of gut check, and this guy is just just like showing him saying, "Yeah, I heard what you said. I'm not going to answer you." He's so mean. He's like, again, I love this Mark Grayson kid. This is just the one who is like oh man, he is like I don't want Mark to be like that at all. He's so mean. He's mean to Debbie Grayson. In my heart, in my head canon, he's the Mark who didn't get the whole my a-hole son speech from season 1. That's this Mark. So then we have we have this great thing. Apparently in the comic, Mark actually, when he did the big move, when he hit him with both sides of his fist, actually killed him. So here we let him live because he's too much fun. And then we have the misunderstanding fight, which again I kind of call it like, come on, guys, very clearly. I mean, not the same guy.
Right. Look at the news. None of them look like this one.
It's like there's multiple Invincibles. Is Cecil not telling anyone anything? So then we have we have our again, silly that the heroes can't tell the real Invincible, given we know what he looks like currently.
Right.
All right, so we have a few image heroes here. We have Kid Thor, Bolt, and Knockout. Knockout being my favorite because she has boxing gloves. It's a fun look.
Kangaroo Jack.
Anyway, so then things again. We pick things up with Powerplex. Because he's right. That's Invincible. So that feels like maybe a foreshadow to what this is. I still don't like the Invincible joke because this feels like, okay, that's what they should be calling the purple kid.
Yeah.
The one who's actually the boy. Anyway.
No, they'll call him something stupid like Invincikid.
Yeah. So Powerplex. So he came back in the fray. I was wondering if we were going to do this or not. We ended up doing it, but it made a lot of sense because a lot of chaos is going on. We were going to start in the prison anyway. This is his Christmas. I kind of wish we had him actually be able to kill one of the Invincibles. But here's the thing: if he did that, he would have gotten some catharsis, and he wouldn't have done what he did at the end of the episode. So
right.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. So Cecil and company. Donald's like a skeleton at this point. They've been getting so much damage.
Yeah, he's basically T2.
Yep, the reanimate are dwindling. The whole R&D wing's been taken out. They end up killing one of the Invincibles thanks to all the reanimate. So they learn there's 18 of them. Thankfully they're all seemingly weaker than the core Invincible, who again they've been training and making stronger. So that plays to their advantage. So they need that and all the aces up their sleeve to help save the day. Oliver's helping people, so he's been a good boy lately. He's been making friends. He hasn't been killing people willy-nilly, and he's been saving people. So this is good. And Paul keeps Debbie safe. So it's a banner episode for all of our supporting characters.
Yeah.
Also, Rick potentially on a path to be a superhero.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
In the comic, Rick died in this too, right?
I don't know. I the thing because that's the whole like the binge thing. I don't recall if Rick died. I hope he didn't, but he could have.
I think Rick dies during Invincible War. I don't remember. I have no idea if they brought him back or not because I haven't gotten that far. But I'm pretty sure he dies.
Huh.
So it was nice to see that he didn't.
Yeah, at least not yet.
Yeah.
So again, the drawback of the episode, which again I don't have a problem with, but I can kind of see maybe a bit of the only complaint I could ever fathom for this episode is, well, that's the thing too. So yeah, Ray died with the Lizard League in the comic, so no one's fates are sealed necessarily
Right.
in the show. Well, that too. Seriously, I just I'm going to mention with you for posterity. I really love Shrinking Ray. I've loved her since the beginning. One, because she's voiced by Greg Griffin, but two, I just love she feels it's so weird to say, but she feels like a Jack Kirby character because she feels like a girl from the Bronx who put on a super suit, and I really love that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so I think the only potential drawback of this episode is that it could very easily go in 18 different directions. So it's going to be subject to editing. We pack all this in the 3 days. And I want to be clear. I like that it takes place within 3 days. I like that we trimmed it down. It's just the way in which we cut away from our stories. You have that inkling in the back of your head that, oh man, why did it have to cut away? Because you're so sucked into all 18 of these stories.
Right.
Like like the ones that beat up poor Mark. They drag the Mohawk Invincible up, and he wakes up like, oh my god, we don't need to. I understand we don't need to see what happened, but at a certain point, like for example, I really wanted to see what happened with Mustache Invincible, but
No, just floating dead.
who was my other favorite, by the way, because again, it's Mustache, just funny. All right, anyway, let's see. So some other stuff. Okay, so we pay off. So by the way, this guy, original to the show, Kahor, the mummy guy.
Mm-hmm. It's one of my favorite recurring bits.
Yeah, so this is a great payoff. For a moment, you just think, oh my god, we're actually going to do something with this guy for a change, and then no, nope, no, we're not.
Yeah, and then the two girls who got trapped last time come back out. Like they're free now.
You have Chloe Bennett as the main one.
Yep, and it's not on the Invincible wiki in the trivia section, but they are both dressed like Ellie Sattler and Alan Grant.
Nice.
I think that's very funny.
That is, I didn't know that. That's really funny.
Yep, they are Ellie Sattler and Alan Grant from Jurassic Park.
All right. So Mark and Eve, they face, basically a kind of a double. They double team our two evil Invincibles here. We have Hooded Invincible and Omni Man Invincible, Omni Invincible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So by the way, I love Omni Invincible. I love that he comes on saying, swearing doesn't make you cool.
Yeah, it's a sick suit. It's a really cool suit.
Here's the thing. Because so much is going on, a part of me would have really loved to see Mark kind of take in some of these variances. Like that one, for example, that one's a haunting one to me.
Right.
Like seeing him in his father's suit from when he was Omni-Man. Like that's, I don't know, that one feels like that one would haunt him a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing. The line that he has is kind of a meta call-out where apparently, I read this, I heard this somewhere, and again, apparently we didn't drop we rarely, if ever, drop the F-bomb in the comic. Where in the show, we do it all the time. Which, again, I don't have a complaint with, because, again, the whole point is that Invincible, unlike The Boys has a cynical undertone. It's kind of optimism within the cynicism. Invincible, on the other hand, is like, it's just very realistic. I'm not saying realistic in terms of people flying around, but realistic in terms of if you had there's the illogical logic, which I'm always obsessed with, like we have in The Incredibles. It's like, well, if superheroes did exist in our real world, these are the kind of things that would happen where people aren't going to keep it squeaky clean as you'd like it to. It's
right.
If you punch someone at Mach 5, they're gonna bleed, if not worse.
Right.
So that's the thing. Like, we have to acknowledge that kind of stuff. So with that, it's like apparently in during the Invincible War, I think it was or something, we had like the one of the Angstrom related scenes. There was an F-bomb dropped. like a holy bleep kind of moment.
Mm-hmm.
Or at the very least, Invincible. I don't know if it was. Maybe I don't know if it was just the whole series. There was only one F bomb, or Invincible himself didn't use the F bomb until that moment. I don't know. Regardless, we have a really good fight here, and then we poor Eve. Oh, here we go. Superior Spider-Man touched upon that too, out of realizing how much Peter holds his punches back. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That kind of stuff's great. Yeah. By the way, seriously, Dan Slott gets a lot of grief nowadays. Not as much since we've done the whole like the other Paul in the Spider-Man comics, like the like the romantic rival Paul guy. Um, but Dan Slott used to get a lot of grievances, and his Superior Spider-Man was a really fun like way to shake Spider-Man up for a while. You don't know anything about Superior
I
Spider-Man, do you?
don't. I'm not a big fan.
Okay.
No, I know the TVs and the movies.
Okay. Look, just to give you like the 30-second pitch. Doc Ock switches minds with Spider-Man when his body is dying, and so Peter Parker is kind of a dead. He kind of dies, and he's basically kind of a ghost, like the Jiminy Cricket on his shoulder, while he's just watching Doc Ock, basically use Peter Parker and Spider-Man's body, and basically Doc Ock kind of reluctantly becomes a hero, but secretly a bad guy who's kind of having a redemptive kind of path.
Huh.
It was good. Just take my word. It was
Yeah,
good.
that's kind of interesting.
Anyway, a lot of people, it's kind of the death of Superman thing. We're like, where's the real Superman? Like, I want Peter Parker back. It's kind of like one of those things where
Right.
it's interesting. Okay, so Eve, she gets one of her legs snapped into, and it's brutal. And
Yeah,
she's,
that one hurt to watch.
I'm gonna tease this up. Kind of a foreshadow to two things. Foreshadow to something that's going to happen to Eve down the line, and we're kind of building up the importance of Eve, and setting up that Eve currently is in sick bay, so she is seemingly out of the action. It's not dead. It's gonna be fine. Just a flesh wound.
Yeah,
I mean, the Invincible had his head cut off. She can get over it. It's fine.
Yeah, people have their legs bones stick out all the time. Happens to the best of us.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Okay. Okay. So the Immortal. Speaking of which, the Immortal. The Guardians. When this is kind of a fun PTSD moment for. Well, I shouldn't say this is a fun PTSD. It's like kind of.
It's a fun little PTSD moment.
To be fair, the Immortal and Kate especially, they kind of had some of this coming just a little bit.
Yeah.
This coming this season, they were real big jerks early on. Again, plus we know they're going to be fine, so that it'll traumatize. So what? Point being, we have some Guardians of the Globe PTSD for the Immortal, watching his friends and his team get slaughtered, and very similar ways. Like Darkwing, he luckily did not get splatted when he was thrown, but still, this is I love that Immortal. He kind of goes into protective mode when Darkwing's in peril. Seeing the parallels there.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Invincible without the goggles, he's basically the most ruthless version of Goku you've ever seen. He's eager to fight. He's very gun ho, but seemingly friendly but brutal. To me, this Invincible feels like it's kind of like if Oliver never got reined in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was my favorite Invincible variant.
Yeah, he's the more pleasant, sadistic yet pleasant version of Mohawk Invincible.
Mm-hmm. I liked that. I liked and hated that he was making fun of Shapesmith.
Yeah, well, I mean, I gotta admit, I do. This is gonna sound morbid again. I want to be clear that character Shapesmith in the show, look, he's good, and I'm just saying in general, there are often times I do not like the characters Ben Schwartz has played, and I've simplified it to not liking Ben Schwartz. It's not personal; it's just the characters that he plays.
That's fair.
Okay, like like the exception being like Dewey in season 1 of DuckTales. That's fine. Okay, that's fine. That Shapesmith, I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say him as Sonic, probably fine.
I don't like him as Sonic, but
Well,
I don't
I said probably. It's an educated guess.
Yeah, no, he's fine. I just don't like those movies.
Okay, point being though, I did really relish the macabre, just like making fun of like Ben Schwartz's Shapesmith. Yeah. Well, wait, wasn't he? I thought he. Isn't he Dewey? Or is he saying that no, Huey was great in the other seasons versus Dewey?
I don't
No, no,
know.
no. That thing it was just a minor typo. He's fine. So yeah, so Dewey was great in those seasons. Look, I kind of disagree on that, but I haven't really rewatched Ducktales aside from just watching it the first time. So maybe maybe something in there. I don't know. I just feel like we have most of his depth and like early on. But anyway, the very to a point is the fact he's kind of got to a point where just saying his name all the time is like the charm factor kind of left that character for me. It's like, okay, Ben, we know you know your character's name. We got it. Okay, moving on. Anyway, yeah, so it's pretty brutal. Like, we're here's the bit that I just found so darkly awesome. Okay, he decapitates the immortal yet again and throws his head through his fiance's body so he can look her in the face while she's beaten on the ground.
Yeah, no, that was sadistic.
It's like this show's awesome. It's like so many moments. This show's so awesome. Anyway, but again, amazingly they all survive. That's the amazing part.
Right, except Darkwing,
Well,
potentially.
well, that's that was later. Well, yeah, you're right. No, in the moment there, yeah, Darkwing basically. I'm convinced Darkwing's alive, but you're right though. Good. The chances are he went through there, and if they didn't come out, they didn't come out for a reason. Like he's probably got beaten to a pulp in there.
Right,
If Darkwing was smart though, he would have just gone in and he would have left and just left him there. That's what if he were smart, but I don't know.
right.
He was a little mentally unstable. I don't know. I'd like to think that he was smart enough to consider that, but maybe something got in
I
the
don't know.
way.
He hit the ground pretty hard with his face.
I mean, yeah, you're right. There might
Like
be
could have
some.
immediate concussion.
Yeah, it's possible.
Forgets
Never
his reasoning.
see. Sometimes during this, we need to break the episode. We need to have Albert Brooks wearing his concussion hat, just telling us, how concussions work. That's what we need sometimes.
Yeah, they all have one.
Oh yeah.
Everyone has the same superpower of not getting concussed, apparently.
Okay. Anyway, so thankfully, so again, Darkwing takes. He can basically sacrifice himself again, full circle, kind of like redemption moment. Oh boy, who would Albert Brooks play in this? That's what I'm saying. I'm sure there are characters we haven't met yet that Albert Brooks could play. I mean, part of me here's the thing: if we didn't get Mark Hamill to play Art, I would say Albert Brooks could easily play Art. But the charm of Art is it's Mark Hamill doing a Stan Lee impression, which I still find is adorable.
Yeah, I think it would just be Albert Brooks.
I mean, I'd be down for that, but I still really, by the way, I still really want. I think it'd be. I think it just makes too much sense not to have Rami Malek play the Viltrum Emperor.
Mm,
Because given the Viltrum Emperor, as you'll see, this guy, he. Do you want me? I'm sorry. Do you want me to spoil it for you?
you
Just what?
spoil a little bit. It's fine.
Okay, that's all. I just want to tell you because the gag is okay. So they all have mustaches. In I guess in the DNA of the show, the reason they all have mustaches is their leader is modeled after Freddie Mercury. Is basically so it has the Freddie Mercury mustache.
Aha.
And so again, it feels like we should get Rami Malek, who wonderfully played Freddie Mercury, to
That,
voice that guy.
that would be funny.
And Rami Malek, before he became a movie star, I mean, early on, like Legend of Korra, man,
Mm.
he was in it, man. I don't know. I was saying he did, he got around.
Yeah, I mean, I remember him from Night at the Museum.
Mm-hmm.
So
Me too. That was the first time I saw him too.
Yep. So he could have played the Mummy Kahor.
Yeah, because oh god, there's every time I see Rami Malek in the back of my mind, I'm thinking he's come such a long way since since Night at the Museum. Every time I see Mr. Robot, it's like, oh, look how far he's come.
Hey, that was the Mummy guy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's common, Ra.
I like those movies. They're not great, but I like them.
I think the first one's great. The rest of them are okay. Nothing
Yeah.
wrong with them.
Nah, I think they're good. I think they're fun.
Second one's probably better than the third, but look. It's a solid enough trilogy. I think the making the son like it want to be a DJ in Ibiza is kind of stupid, but that's just me. That, and again, Rebel Wilson wears thin, but look,
Yeah.
I don't want to nitpick. Do you remember the time where everyone thought Rebel Wilson was funny?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's all Pitch Perfect's fault.
yeah.
Pitch Perfect was like a funny movie, and then
It
they're
was
like,
basically
"Oh,"
the musical version of Fatty Fall Down. That's essentially what
yeah.
essentially what Pitch Perfect was.
And then they go, "Oh, we need to cast her in everything."
Yep. Hey, let's. Except Kung Fu Panda, because I think they also in Kung Fu Panda 3, I think they realized, you know what, we can't do her shtick. Her shtick just isn't funny. Let's get at some no name. Let's just get Kate Hudson in there.
Right. Yeah, now she's thin, so she can't even do the fat Amy thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, good for her transforming to
Yeah.
gold. I mean, if that's what you wanted, I mean, good for her. But anyway,
Right. Now you can't play Pitch Perfect 4 will never be the same.
nope. How's she gonna split her pants now? Okay, anyway, enough fat shaming. So, okay, let's see. Back to okay, yeah. Anyway, so the teen team, they're not faring much better either.
Nope.
Yeah. So again, the connected goggles, Invincible, pure evil. You know, he's just. I love Bulletproof coming in for the save. By the way, I really forget if we had two characters in this episode who, let's just say, I really want it to be, if memory serves. Again, only from binging it once, I don't know. I want to say Bulletproof goes on to do something really cool. If we do what I really hope is him, and not basically, we're introduced to a character by the name of Bolt in this episode. He was the early on when all the heroes were beating up on him, mistaking our Invincible
He
for
was the
the
guy in
bad.
the blue suit, right? The blue.
Yeah, the African American gentleman in the blue,
Yeah.
kind of Superman looking outfit. That guy. So him, I really hope. I mean, look, I'm not saying he can't be developed, but I'm just saying we just introduced him now. I know there's going to be a lot of seasons of Invincible. Let's just say we're doing something big with either Bolt or Bulletproof, and I really loved what we've been doing with Bulletproof on the side because visually his costume tells a story that cracks me up and foreshadows where we might be going with him. And on the flip side, I always really loved the moment in this season where he said, I, for one, would like to hear what Invincible has to say. And I really love that with him, is the fact he was the one willing to give him time of day.
Right.
And deep down, because he was influenced by Invincible, so it makes a lot of sense.
Right.
Anyway, point being, keep an eye on Bulletproof. Hopefully, we're gonna do some really cool stuff with him in future seasons. Anyway, if they do what if he's the character I'm thinking of from a later arc, we're gonna do some really cool stuff with him. Anyway, let's see. Point being, robots given the order, like, hey guys, we like get Monster Girl out of here. She's not doing so well. She's been knocked out. And Rex, he stays behind and he does the big, awesome sacrificial move we kind of knew was coming as he said goodbye to Ray after helping her move. He he basically gives it his all to distract the goggled the connecting goggle mark. And then I was wondering, okay, only Kirkman could go this way, and I really hope he's smart enough to. Where we saw like the wound on Rex, and I was thinking he's got it. I mean, that's the thing. His whole thing is he's basically Gambit. He has to touch something.
Right.
He does have a hand that we haven't used in the scene though, which I do wonder why we didn't use like the beam coming from the hand. But he earlier in the season he said his hand wasn't working right, so I don't know. Regardless, because remember he left, and maybe he didn't get his hand fixed before he left. That's possible, but they have robots, so I don't believe that. Anyway, point being, he basically has his big Gambit moment. Rex's name, remember it. Name's Rex, remember it. He basically uses his own skeleton as the bomb, taking out the Invincible with himself.
Right. Yeah, it was brutal. I was sad. I like Rex.
Yeah. That was the most heroic and awesome way for him to go out, period, though.
Yeah, no. I have one thing left. My skeleton. My fucking skeleton.
And Ray seeing the top of the base explode, it was gut wrenching. Yeah. All right. Meanwhile, so Britt and Donald, I love the idea they're friends because like Donald's always been kind of Britt's handler and stuff, so it's kind of nice to see him like good old Jonathan Banks is being chummy with Donald, saying, "Well, you're doing better than the rest of us, Don." Just holding him like with missing the legs and everything. He's looking full Terminator.
Yeah, I liked seeing Donald. We didn't get to see it, but I like that Donald was like, "Nah, let me in the action."
I can do more here. I can do more there than I can here.
Right.
All right, let's see. So then we have the big scene where the Levy and the Invincibles kind of gather, which was another thumbnail contender, by the way. But this shot is like literally from the comics, so we kind of had to use it. Where they had the big
Right.
portal moment. So plus it's kind of Endgame-esque. So we kind of had it's an evil version of Endgame, but Endgame nonetheless.
Right.
So I love we had 18 Invincibles and now it's down to 8. You know, we have again we have the Omni Invincible, Viltrum Prison, Emperor, Mohawk, uh, full mask, no mask, EIEIO. You get the idea. Pure Viltrum, Viltrumite Mark, and yeah, I think that's Sinister Invincible as well. There we go. Anyway, so I love the idea that somehow that some of the Invincibles have more humanity to them than others, and they were promised different things. The fact that I love the full mask Invincible saying that he misses his mother, and that he just wanted to kind of like pluck her from. He basically wanted to do kind of the Deadpool and Wolverine plot. I want to pluck this one from this world, bring her back to my world.
Right.
And then we have the other one who kind of misses William, which, by the way, the implication to me, and I forget if this was, I think this was from the comic, but again, it could have been someone doing like a dub or something. Like not a dub, someone doing like kind of like messing with the text bubbles. There was this gag, there's this comic panel gag going around where when William found out that Mark was invincible, he made him fly. I think Eve was like outside the room, and she overheard basically Mark, William saying, like. I guess Mark saying, William, you've ridden me like 5 times now. It's being the joke, and Eve overheard this. Anyway, point being, I have some people made a lot of fun about that with this moment here, but with genuine pathos, it does make me think perhaps this Invincible had a relationship with his buddy William. Perhaps
could be.
Yeah, it's not off the table, and we don't really need to know that, but, it's for variety's sake. Regardless, I love the fact there is humanity with them, and, of course, Mohawk Invincible, just no couth at all. Just, it's like, oh, Mark misses his mommy.
Yeah.
Reminds me of that gag from Family Guy, the way he says that, by the way. Bob misses his mommy. Old Bob Funland gag from way early on. Anyway, drifting off focus. The point being, they're all circled, and we have this great logical thing of like, yeah, they could just turn on Angstrom.
Yeah, and what's he gonna do?
Well, he basically gonna shove him in the dimension where he died.
Yeah, just leave him there. Bye bye.
And I love that he was expecting it, but hoping it would come just a little bit later.
Right.
All right, so let's see. So then we have the big battle, Invincible and Levy. At their big rematch, and it's very cathartic. It's a very cathartic battle where you want Mark to kick this guy's butt. He's inflicted so much pain again. Like, this guy's just an utter monster. Like what he did to the Grayson family last season. I don't stand for anyone hurting Debbie Grayson. I don't stand for that. See, there's a Pergron, there's a way of doing things around these parts, and we don't torture Sandro characters. We don't do bad things to Sandro. See, that's if you push around Sandro, we say to that.
What do we say to that?
Oh, Sandro, oh, you didn't. Oh, no, you didn't. No, you don't. To Sandro. Yeah, in other words, it's not that simple. It's kind of the running gag of the season as well, Pergron. We just keep using that. It's an episode title that just kind of stuck with us. We just you have to shout it, though. It's not that simple. I love that Mark is smarting up in his rematch here, because he's probably getting a lot of thought to how he could have done this fight differently with Levy. So he's basically, and plus he's grown a lot this season, so he's doing everything he can to avoid the portals.
Right.
And he's bashing through all these little drones that he's got, these little circular drones. So much drones. It's like the end of Far From Home, all these drones.
Right.
And, so he's kicking the crap out of him. And then he has the big opportunity for change moment. I really like how we handle this. Oliver shows up, and Oliver's like camping. Look, he hurt us back then. You should, kill him. And he's not even like on instinct, not knowing it, but he's saying, look, he's making a legit argument. You have to kill him. And Invincible weighs the options. He doesn't want to do this, but there's a logic of the damage has already been done. There's kind of a loophole here for him where, well, I mean, I already kind of killed him before. I mean, it's a miracle that it was undone, but I mean, the trauma's still there, and this guy is doing a lot of harm, and he's contemplating Oliver's way of thinking, and it's very reluctant. It's like, you know what, this is right. Look at the disaster he's unleashed here. I kind of have to kill him.
Right.
It's a very well reasoned kind of argument there, I feel.
Yeah.
And again, he's not enjoying it. So, you know, he goes for it, and then Levy takes that moments of hesitation to get out of there. But I love that Mark makes him lose the arm.
Mm-hmm.
Going the full Star Wars, he lost the arm. It's not that simple.
Not that simple.
Killing a man. It's not that simple.
Nope, it is not.
No, it's not. So, he's lost his arm, and you know, he's basically he's bellowing for the technique, because he still has 8 Invincibles in the wings, and he's preparing his, you know, after he gets his arm patched up, he's going to head back. The technicians, they aren't happy. He made a deal with these technicians, and he's now at their mercy, because they have like these things in his brain that hold these screws in his brain that hold him together, and
they were voiced by the guy who plays Pinhead in
Oh right, yeah, they Doug Bradley, yeah.
So yeah, I think they're supposed to be Cenobites. They have to be, like, based off which are torturers. I don't know if you've seen Pinhead.
Well, that's the thing. I saw like a little thing on the screen on the not screen, but I think it was Screenbox or Shutter, whichever one it was. I saw like a little thing about it's kind of a overall on Pinhead, but I completely forgot about that. So that's really cool, in fact. But yeah, they got Doug Bradley. That's really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've been in the same room as Doug Bradley once.
Oh, cool.
I didn't talk to him or anything. I was in the same. I was in like a room with him, big room. You know, he was there. I mean, you know,
we shared physical space.
I mean, there were no partitions. I've shared the room with a lot of famous people, actually. I mean, I was in the same room as Ken Page. I didn't see him, regrettably. Same thing with Tony Todd. I was in the room, didn't talk to him, but you know, I mean, I think I waved to Tony Todd though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he waved back. I mean, that was nice.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, I think it was nice.
No bees came out.
Well, no, I didn't say his name. I just waved to him. Not an idiot. Anyway, I feel bad for all the girlfriends of Tony Todd, because you know they're always haunted by that visual. Yep, Jacob, he drew the winning lottery ticket, so he's gonna be beating Gray Griffin.
Oh, that's cool.
In a few months, and we're all very happy for him. All of us in this room are very happy for him. No green jealousy here in the month of St. Patrick's Day. None whatsoever. Oh, no, I'm going to be a happy camper on the 17th. I promise you that.
Yeah, I sense no resentment.
No, there's no veiled jealousy here, my friend. No, I'm happy for you. You're living the vicarious dream. Yeah. Anyway, so jealousy eating away at me aside. So they have the aftermath. So seemingly the nightmare is over. We have the aftermath. And this part I did remember a little bit here. So the world, I really appreciate that the world knows, and we even called this out in the rewatch. It became more apparent to me that Levy knew that the world would probably put 2 and 2 together and realize that this wasn't him. But the whole point was that he's going to unleash these unspeakable horrors, and they're always going to remember him or remember what happened when they think about him. Right. So they've tarnished the memory forever. Basically, it's like causing like 18 9/11s.
Right.
You know, it's basically season 1 times 18.
Right. It's like if there were 18 9/11s, but the culprit looked like Matthew McConaughey.
Well, pretty much.
Then you see Matthew McConaughey, and you're like, hey, that's the guy who did 18 9/11s.
Yeah. Doesn't sound like you have something against Matthew McConaughey, but
No, I
sure.
love Matthew. That was just the first person that came to mind.
Well, I'm saying though, I think the worst case of it is like what Tom Hanks, like what if you took like the most beloved icon? It's like what if Tom Hanks was like was responsible for all these atrocities?
No more Toy Story 5, that's for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, so point being, I love the world knows that it wasn't him, and seemingly everyone's kind of like smart. They're wondering like why this happened, but it's kind of the what have I done title.
Mm-hmm.
But again, ultimately, as all matters Invincible, it's not that simple. All right. Let's see. Okay, so point. Cecil and Mark, by the end of the but kind of getting to the end of the season, by the end of this episode, I love that, by the way, this episode could have been a season finale rather easily. Here's the thing. If Kirkman wanted to torture us, okay, if he wanted to be those technician guys, if he wanted to torture us, he could have, torture in quotes, this still would have been a really excellent way to end the season. And even just teasing the awesome thing that would open the next season, that still would have been that could have been serviceable. But the fact that he loves us so much, like guys, I know I put you through the ringer on 2. Here's your reward. We're gonna do this, and then I'm gonna give you Christmas early.
Right.
So anyway, so with all this in mind, Cecil and Mark, they have an understanding. They're on good-ish terms. They're not working together. I love that Cecil, in kind of in paralleling Cecil's own past with the leadership of the GDA, he offers Mark being leader on Guardians of the Globe now that the Immortals retired, and he's going to start a family with Duplicate, which, by the way, not really earned, but he's going to do it anyway. I'm just saying, Duplicate really screwed everyone over.
The man has not won a fight in the entire series.
No.
You don't get to retire Immortal. You got to win at least one.
Well, I think at the end of the day, Abraham Lincoln just can't fight.
That's true.
I still love that. You've heard that too, by the way.
Yeah.
Right? You remember that? Yeah, that he is Lincoln.
He is Abraham Lincoln.
I still is my favorite thing for the Invincible comics. The fact that he was like the reveal that he's actually Lincoln. It's like basically what a Vandal Savage for Abraham Lincoln. That's essentially what the Immortal is. All right. So, but yeah, so the Cecil, I'm still not working with you, but thanks. It's a really nice exchange between the two of them. It just shows you, there's an acknowledgement of you had a point and you also had a point. Where at the end of the day, Cecil saw the worst that Mark could be, and at the same token, he knows like I never should have done. It's kind of like the closest Cecil would ever get to somewhat of an apology, because he's not wrong in that we should have had these contingencies,
right?
And there's a mutual respect, but it's kind of like, I should have made it. Basically, it's kind of an admittance, an unspoken admittance of I should have given you the benefit of the doubt, or I should have treated you like more of an equal or an adult in the situation instead of a kid. I should have told you what was going on instead of trying to keep the White Room secret from you.
Right.
Anyway, so then Mark returns to the cleanup effort with Oliver, and then Powerplex gets into a bit of a tussle, and I love that he non-violently he takes him down. Then we have again just some more Pinkmanisms here. We have just Aaron Paul doing his big Emmy nod, which again last episode pretty much was like Aaron Paul doing some really Emmy worthy work as Powerplex.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically making a big scene that kind of reminds everyone the worst possible way that he did this, and basically Invincibles wants to say to the crowd, it's not that simple.
Right.
You don't understand. Plus, he vaporized his whole family. It's not my fault either.
Right. You should have seen him.
It's crazy. Don't listen to that guy. Now, here's another thing too. To me, I want your take on this. Powerplex is in the costume. I'm convinced that is an example of Cecil, again, desperate for manpower and doing kind of the Civil War move where, we're putting the bad guys in the field here. We have to put Powerplex in there to help out. That's what I think that's why he's in the costume. I mean, it is possible he could have escaped, but how did he get his costume back,
Right. It could be.
That's what I'm thinking. I don't know. But anyway, so the point being this happens, it's not Mark's feeling really guilt-ridden about all this. Oh, by the way, before we get to the big thing, Mark had an interaction with Eve's parents.
Mm-hmm. The most awkward meeting the parents ever.
Yeah, I really love how this went there. Again, Grey Griffin, who is in this, she plays some. I'm trying to remember her first name, but we have Eve's mom, Mrs. Wilkins.
Hmm.
So I'm blanking on her name. I forget because I know Eve's name is Samantha. He wanted to call her Samantha, but it's not Debbie either, obviously, but it's something. Anyway, point being, we have Miss Wilkins, and she I love it's kind of the
Polly
sugar.
is her name.
What name?
Polly.
Polly. Thank you, Polly Wilkins. And by the way, I've always thrown this. I don't know if you've ever noticed this. I always like to think of. Now, mind you, this is there are two characters in this show I kind of like in a weird way I associate with Robert Kirkman for really odd reasons. Okay,
Hmm.
there's a Mr. Wilkins,
Hmm.
and there's the Paul F. Tompkins narrator when things get hot and heavy and we have to go into space. Here's the thing. I go with the narrator. I think more so feels like Kirkman in terms because he kind of sounds a little like Kirkman, just more peppy.
Hmm.
And it's the gag of like Kirkman kind of acknowledge. It's kind of a meta way of like him acknowledging the way he's kind of censoring the animation just a little bit. Where yeah, in the comic we had more sex scenes, and obviously I don't think we're gonna do the big thing from the comic in the show, and it's basically him saying he doesn't like the way he's gone on record of saying it's kind of a nod to the whole ridiculous, kind of censorship thing of like we can be as violent as we want, but we can't do anything sexual.
Hmm.
And on the flip side, it's also kind of a thing where he just doesn't like how nudity animates. He feels very awkward having nudity animated. That's not to say we did it like one time with Rex this season, but that's about it.
Right.
But it's still just even so is you get a sense he feels uncomfortable about it. So I don't know. I really hope we don't shy away from the big bad the really bad thing that happens to Mark because I think it is kind of it's an underrepresented problem I think Mark should highlight. I know you haven't gotten to it yet. I just don't want to.
Yeah, I know about it.
Well, that's the
Yeah.
thing. I really hope
There's some things I couldn't avoid.
that's the thing. So I hope that we do. I hope we don't shy. It's like the whole Killing Joke thing. There's some things we shouldn't shy away from that we kind of have to do.
Right.
In that case, I think in this case, even if we don't explicitly show everything, we have to say that it happened. We have to at least imply, or maybe in a more
Right.
artful way, that it
Yeah,
happened.
Paul F. Tompkins can come on and describe.
Just give the play-by-play, and it's like, oh
Right.
no, let's go away to happier things while this
Yep.
happens. Anyway. Sorry, what was I? All right. Point being, the other character being Mr. Wilkins. And I say Mr. Wilkins because he looks a little like kind of a. Now, in the comic, I know we're dead from the comic, so I don't think it's really well founded. But it just feels that Mr. Wilkins just feels kind of like Kirkman without hair in terms of design. he feels like an angry caricature of Kirkman. Yeah, and here we leave Anissa having her way with Mark. Yeah, I don't. People are gonna riot if he says having her way.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. They're just gonna riot like having her way. What's wrong with you, Tompkins?
You can't say that. What the fuck?
God, what in good God's name? Anyway, regardless, so I'll tell you one thing. I don't know if you've ever seen this. There's this page from the comics with Mr. Wilkins that is like the most deplorable, horrible. It's a thing where I think in the animation, sorry, in the adaptation, I think I really like how we've handled Mr. Wilkins, where he comes from a realistic and like vaguely defensible way, like a stubborn parent would be, and that you get the sense that he does love his daughter, and that's the thing the comic kind of lacked. Where I think the show brings that this guy, he loves his daughter, but he's so blustery and stubborn and kind of stupid. But he does deep down love his daughter and he cares about her, and that's why he's on her as hard as he is about things, even though he should be a lot more understanding. Like for example, season 2, he really was a jerk move to throw the whole people died because of what you did in her face like that. That was I think that's the worst thing that he's done in the show. That even worse than eat her birthday cake. All right, eating the birthday cake is more like he's a fat guy. But aside from that was just more like, come on, man. But But yes, I mean, in the comic, there's this infamous scene, which again, I don't think they're going to do because it just feels wrong, where he has this really the creepiest scene you've ever seen. It's like an truly unsettling scene where he has this is where they actually get acquainted with Mark, and like Mark's coming over for dinner and stuff, and it's like this really eerie thing where Mr. Wilkins makes Adam. Well, I think his name's Adam. Adam Wilkins. He's like making the girls do the dishes. Like Mark says, "Hey, should we I was gonna go help with the dishes." Nah, they love doing the dishes. They love doing that kind of stuff. And he's just smoking a cigar outside, and he's just saying, this is what we need, a little quality bonding time. And he's going on this the horrible thing that he said was, I want to say I appreciate you taking up with Eve. Basically, and then it gets this deplorable thing. He basically says, because I know she's not a virgin. And basically, in this, now mind you, now that I know the full here's the thing, full context being Rex was her first,
Right.
and basically saying, the dead boy. So now I know fully in context what I meant, but the dead boy, he was her first. And it goes in this really creepy, icky like kind of thing about my Polly or whoever. She was. She was that way. And it goes. I don't even repeat those specifics. It's just really creepy. It's just him going on. You can see the disgust on Mark, and it's a thing where in the comic he was just silent to it, and you have to wonder if that scene happened here, Mark would have to call him out on that BS. It's just
Right.
creepy. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. He's completely unredeemable in the comic for that scene and anything beyond that. So here, a lot more likable. And here he just has like a bluster, like, she's my daughter, she's our daughter. It's like, it could be a lot nicer, but he's not, he's just, that's his version of concern. I guess this is my long winded way of saying, I like the nuance that this is him caring, but he's still kind of a jerk about it.
Right.
And even the mother, again, like Eve warned him at the meeting her parents, and yeah, it's not a pleasant experience. And her mother's basically like reminding, oh yeah, and here's a girl who died because of all this.
Right.
It was the girl from the Adam Eve special.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, so point being, we got to get Mark in a really kind of sad place for what's about to happen. So that happens, and then the cleanup after, then Powerplex. Anyway, so when this moment happens, and the moment he was like lifting the rubble, I realized that the synapse connect. Like, oh my god, I hope that he shows up. And then I remember this is literally where he shows up, because he's wearing the blue and black costume. They're surrounded by during like a cleanup effort of some kind,
Mm-hmm.
and Jacob and I have been kind of postulating throughout the season that it would make all the sense. Again, I forgot the exact link up for it, but in my heart of hearts, my hope was that if we did this as like the not the foreshadow, we did this as like the fake out of like, this feels like a season finale. We're getting an episode early, and you think, okay, well, how can we possibly do anything beyond this? Like, this clearly has to be our ending. Right after all this, then you throw Conquest at them.
Mm-hmm.
And we set up Conquest in 2. We said someone worse is going to come. We saw Conquest in a very brief visual cameo at the end of season 1.
Right.
So, oh my God, seeing Conquest show up and confirming, oh my God, yes, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, the rematch of the century and kind of our pseudo Walking Dead sequel. It's like, oh my God, and him showing up, and then just like Invincible saying, this is not a good time. All this, it's my fault, and I just want to hit something really hard. He has the gnarled, icky looking teeth, and he like says, good, and they get into it. Oh my God, it's a huge fight.
Imagine if he showed up like 15 hours earlier.
Oh, he would have been so proud. He would have
Yeah,
shed
he
a
would have
tear.
been like,
He would have been, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
they're doing it, boys.
This would have been like the proud papa from Supernatural, Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Right.
He would have been using his robot arm to like wipe a tear, basically pulling out like a vulture, like kind of like a cigar, and just like lighting it. It's like, I'm so proud. Look at him. And you're right, no post-credit scene either, because again, seriously, how do you top this? They wanted to make sure no one missed this part. Okay, people have this. Now, mind you, they're really smart about the post credits coming like 2 seconds after the credits show up, so that no one would have missed it anyway. But it was a good call.
Yeah. What a bad week for the people of Earth. What a terrible week to be alive. Like we've lived through some pretty shit weeks. I think this might top them.
So I can't express to you that this is coming up quite possibly if they do it right, which again I have no reason to doubt they would at this point. If they do it right, this is the only way you're gonna rival the finale of season one. Conquest is like the fight. It's Batman versus Bane. This is like the Nightfall battle, my friend. This is like, oh my god, this is this is the Superman Doomsday / Batman Bane fight of Invincible. This is as big as this is kind of as big as it gets in terms of like in the 3-act structure of the whole series. Okay, you have him versus his father as Act 1. This is Act 2, and Act 3 comes, let's say, at the very end, or at least towards the very end. So this is going to be huge, and the fact that like season now this it does make me hope. It's not written in stone because Invincible. What I love about the comic is that Invincible, unlike most comics, does have an actual ending. So the fact that Kirkman's building to that, and he is adapting this, and he's taking his time, and this isn't even factoring in spin-offs and stuff or specials they could do, but this is just basically the core story has an ending. So in theory, I mean, maybe they could do 6 seasons. They could possibly do more seasons. But, I just like that we're open to that. Like, you're not really checking your watch for the season. It's like, oh, God, I hope it never ends, but there is an ending.
Right.
But yeah, so Conquest showing up, and this is going to be like oh my god, it's going to be like the fight. So many shocking things are going to happen during this fight, and I just can't wait. The next week is going to be so amazing. I can't undersell the fact that it is Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I mean, Jonathan Banks, I already would have been floored by, but making it Jeffrey Dean Morgan is like it couldn't get more perfect. Plus, people have been, people are always griping about how skimpy the animation can be at times, but it's skimpy for a reason, kids. They got to put all that money. Hopefully, they're going to put all that money into this fight. Where, as much as I want to be clear, I have no gripes at all with the ending of season one. I don't have any gripes with it. But my animation buddies, they they harp on certain things. One of them is like the crowd shots in at the tail end of season one. They're a little kind of like Hunchback of Notre Dame extras. Little bit, and I'm not bothered by it because you shouldn't be looking at the extras.
Right.
But it's like, hopefully like that's the only note I would have is basically do that, but with Conquest even better, and just make the extras look a little bit. That's all you got to do. It's the only way you could possibly beat the train scene from Invincible is the Conquest fight.
I'm very excited.
Oh my god, trust me, you are in for like you're gonna need to staple your jaw to your face, my friend, because it's gonna be battling against staples that drop to the floor.
Wow,
for the stuff that's gonna happen. Like, oh my, it's good. It's again, Omni-Man is the warm. Omni-Man is the opening act to this fight.
Wow.
The opening act, like Think Mark Think, is like you're gonna like, oh my god, that's like he gave him a little love tap. This is like, oh boy. I know I'm overhyping it, but I'm not by much. I'm gonna say not by much. Okay, I'm just saying this is one for the record books.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's gonna be a good week then.
Oh yeah. All right. So that about does. Do you have anything else you want to throw in there with all the 18 Invincibles? I think you want to throw it.
No, I don't think we need a 19th Invincible. I think we're good. No, I mean it's been good. I'm very excited. We got 4 days now until it ends. It's sad that it's over, and then we're gonna have to wait again. But
it was worth the wait, though.
It was
stuff
worth
we got
the wait.
here. I mean, this is peak television, my friend.
Yeah.
Plus, in the meantime, we got Daredevil. So I mean, life is pretty good right now.
That's true.
Got Invincible, even if Invincible's wrapping up. We got Daredevil. Before this, we had Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. We're in a good rhythm right now.
Yeah, we're gonna have Thunderbolt soon enough.
May or may not come crashing down with Thunderbolts. I'm optimistic, but
I think it looks good.
I think I'm going to enjoy it. I don't know how the public or the consensus is going to feel about it. All I know is that they're adapting one of my least favorite Marvel characters. I'm hoping they're going to sell me on. I have faith that they're going to sell me on them, but we'll see.
My odd take is I'm more excited for that than Fantastic Four right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know. That I'm not. I can't say that. I'm excited. Look, I'm looking forward. I've been looking forward to the Thunderbolts with all the build-up that we've had to the Thunderbolts in the Disney Plus show. So I'm looking forward to it. And I love Red Guardian, so I'm definitely in for that. But yeah, the Fantastic Four, that is like that's their big one. The whole again, ever since we regained the rights to the Fantastic Four, we've been waiting for them to. We got to get it right. We gotta. This is forget the X-Men. Okay, Deadpool's all I need of the X-Men. We already did that fine. Okay, I'm satisfied with that. We have X-Men '97. That's all I need in this world. We're okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still excited for it, but I don't know. The teaser didn't do a ton for me.
All right. Well. Anyway, point being.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna give it its best shot. I'm still excited for it.
Anyway, life seems to be good right now.
Yeah, good year to be a comic fan.
Not a good year to be Mark Grayson, but it's a good year.
No, yeah, unless you're one of the ones that made it out.
Well, that's true. Well, they're stranded right now, so we'll see how they. I wonder what they're going to do for food.
Each other.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Well, which Invincible do you think they eat first?
A Mohawk.
Yeah, I think collectively they would want. I think they would want to eat Mohawk, but here's the thing, though: if Mohawk convinces the group otherwise, they're going to eat. They're going to eat the face mask one, the Mrs. Mommy. They're going to make fun of him as the weakest one.
That's true.
I don't want that. I don't want that to happen to him.
Put it in the comments, folks. Which Invincible are they eating?
Yeah, who do they eat first, and who lasts the longest?
We'll put up a poll.
I think here's the thing. I think it's going to come down to the last survivors. It's going to be the two coolest Invincibles, which is Sinister Invincible and Omni Invincible. They're the two survivors of the group.
Mm-hmm.
So they're first of all they're definitely chowing down. Eventually they're going to eat Mohawk. We know they're like Mohawk's not going to last that long.
No, Mohawk gets eaten. That's just it's how
he gets eaten. Question if he gets eaten first though. That's the thing.
Right.
I think we're eating our sensitive Invincibles first because the soft meat's the tastiest.
They're gonna eat the gay one first. You're gonna be like, hey, you miss what's his name?
William.
Nah, we're gonna eat you first.
Well, apparently we're gonna eat the gay one. Or we're gonna.
I mean, they're evil. They're gonna be homophobic.
Well, that's not necessarily true.
The two go hand in hand.
Hey, remember, evil people learn the modern terms first, my friend.
That's true.
They get with the times first. You could have the most malicious monster we've ever seen be the most PC, just law abiding. That's the thing. So the most accepting could be the evil one. That's what I'm saying. Think about that. Patton Oswalt. I'm borrowing from Patton Oswalt. He always had this wonderful stand-up bit about that. Evil people, they strive to learn the terms first.
That's true.
You could have like a well-meaning but like formerly intolerant kind of Southerner or something. Just like he's gonna botch the terms. But again, he's making an effort though. He's trying. Right. It's like anyway. So, point being, how far we've come, what have we done? We've talked about this episode of Invincible, and we're again we'll be wrapping up next week with the big conquest finale, which trust me, folks, you do not want to miss. See you next time.
See ya.
Remember, it's not that simple.